Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our latest Slapshot special. And this week, we're heading down under to the Australian Ice Hockey League. And today, we're joined by a defenseman who's taken a seriously interesting path through the game. From junior hockey in Canada to a championship run with the Brooks Bandits, standout numbers back home, university hockey, and even a title-winning season in Europe. So now he's heading straight into making an impact with the Sydney Ice Dogs. So far, he's on a point per game from the blue line, and I'm sure he'll intend to carry that on. First of all, and thank you for being our first AI guest. A massive welcome to Dags.
There you go. Hey, Rossy, how are we doing? Thanks for having me.
Very well.
Quite an intro. Quite an intro.
Gotta go for it. It's a first for us in terms of the AI. Obviously, we've only just started watching it ourselves. I know me and Az, plenty of chat about it, but there's a lot of eyes on in terms of a UK audience. So we're very keen to get involved, and obviously massively appreciative of you coming on and helping us get a bit of a taste of it.
Of course. I'm happy to be on here. So, yeah, I mean, you did your homework. I'm surprised there's that much information on me out there, but
honestly, I can never go too unprepared because I'll start sounding like a babbling idiot, which I probably do half the time anyway. But just for context, Dags, we've been chatting for about 10 minutes now. Do you want to? For me, as you can see, the blinds are shut. It's 10 to 10 here at home. Where are you right now? And looking at that backdrop, do you want to explain to everybody at home what you've been doing this morning? Because you're living the life, aren't you?
Yeah. So just for context and the audience, apologies for my appearance. I just finished up a run this morning. There's a massive running community out in Bondi Beach, and so I'll get my head out of the way there. But yeah, they do. There's tons of really fit people here, run clubs, different fitness communities. And I came across this one run club, the Sydney Run Club on Instagram, and I just saw some of their stuff. Sometimes they get like thousands of people out here, and I was like, man, I gotta go do that. So I tried to come out last week, but it just didn't really work out. But yeah, this week was, it's a 5:30 start, so getting later into the winter here. So we didn't really start seeing much sunlight until about halfway through the run, but just wrapped up, and now just, hanging out by the beach. This is not a false background.
Yeah, it's like some people have like space in the background and stuff. That's the first thing I said in it. Like, that looks like a backdrop. And he's like, no, everything's real. But yeah, what an experience that's for context, everybody. That it's now like 10 to 7 in the morning, and Dags has kindly agreed to come on. So again, I really appreciate that. You've very much accommodated us.
Yeah. Well, it works. Happy to be here.
Well, let's sort of start. We will get into the AI stuff, but I always like to start with sort of roots and where you came from. So let's start from the beginning. Growing up in Ontario, how did you first get into hockey?
Yeah, I guess like most Canadian players, story is very similar. Just, dad put a hockey stick and skates on our feet, and that was pretty much it. It was about 3, 4, 5 years old, something like that, when I first started skating and playing, and for as long as I can remember, that's just what I did. I feel like for some players may have a story where, I really wanted to play and they maybe switched over at a little bit of an older age. It was just, for me, it's kind of all I really knew. Just kept her going from there. I played for my local team, and then I guess I grew up in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, so it's a small town just outside of Niagara Falls. And there was 2 major cities, Niagara Falls and St. Catharines, where we could play a little bit higher level hockey, and that's kind of where I spent my time in minor hockey.
Do you remember like your first game? I know you said it was quite early on, but do you remember your first game or what like really hooked you into hockey? Like you say, like I can imagine as a kid you're playing for fun, which is what it's all about, in it. But was there ever like a point in your sort of career really early on where you was like, oh no, I really love this? Or was it again just like that family influence?
Yeah, like I have some brief memories from when I was a child playing, and there's some highlights, like when every kid when they're young, like scoring goals is the best thing ever, right? And very early on, I had coaches who moved me back to play defense, and I remember being pretty upset about that. But then I kind of realized that you can still score goals from the back end, and so it was. I remember that, and then I was a little bit back and forth when I was younger. Like there were times where I loved it, there were times where I didn't really think it was for me. But I knew that, like I said, like it was just all I knew, and so my dad had put me in it, and that was just something that I had committed to, and then I just grew to love the game. I can't really say there was a specific moment, but yeah, just born and raised doing it.
In terms of, obviously you are a defenseman, but I think a lot of people would say that you're a more offensive defenseman. Do you think that's why? Because you have played both ways?
Yeah. Like the most fun that I have is when we're in the offensive zone, and I feel like a lot of guys can agree with that. But yeah, like also for context, I grew up playing lacrosse, and so lacrosse. I played offense in lacrosse, and so that kind of really shaped my offensive ability, and that's kind of what made me super keen to be that style of player. And yeah, that's definitely where I get my most entertainment from the sport.
Love that. Love that. I've never heard that answer before, but those transferable skills are obviously massive, aren't they? How important would you say then was those early years in shaping you as a player?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sorry. Coming through junior hockey in Canada, how important were those early years in shaping you as a player?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a commitment, right? Like if you're just showing up to practice, your team's practice or training, typically it's not really enough. Um, and so yeah, like the early years and learning how to play with a team and play under structure and um, you know follow set plays and whatnot is super important. But then there's the whole other component of it that most people don't see, which is the extra 10 hours a week on the ice and in the gym. And I spent a lot of time with the same skating coach, I think since I was about 10 or 11. And I ended up working for him once I got older. And um, yeah, I've him and I have been real tight since, I mean, for about almost 15, 16 years now.
Love that. I love it. I love hearing about those individual people who have that massive influence on you. That's ace.
Yeah.
Let's talk about obviously when things got a little more serious then. So, as you got a little bit older, was it the Blackhawks that you started at?
Yep. The Thorold Blackhawks, Junior B.
Yeah.
It was an interesting time. So that would have been just after the OHL draft, and when you're, I guess, 15, that's like the one thing that you're looking forward to is, trying to get drafted, trying to make an OHL team, and that's like the only thing that you really work towards. But my skills coach, his name is Rick Ferroni. He heavily advised me to try and go the college route in the U.S., play NCAA, and and I don't know, he made it sound like that was the move for me, and I was super interested in that. And so after the OHL draft, my interests kind of shifted, and I figured going to play junior for the Blackhawks and trying to climb in the tier 2 levels so that I can keep my eligibility. I mean, obviously things have changed now, but yeah. So started out with the Blackhawks, which was an awesome year. We had in that league, you were only allowed to have two 16-year-olds. But our organization had made some moves early in the summer, and so they picked up two extra 16-year-old cards. So there was four of us and guys that basically I grew up playing with or against, and we were all pretty close. So it was a lot of fun.
Unreal. Was that sort of your first taste of, like, obviously you mentioned about the OHL drafting and working towards that and stuff, but do you feel that was your first taste of sort of serious hockey and And so what did that sort of stage of your early career teach you?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was my first taste, just because, man, hockey's a business,
Yeah,
and so like leading into like even the year prior, with the draft coming up and stuff like that, like
that's when it gets serious.
it's like you start to feel like your first level of professionalism and pressure almost, and um it then when the day happens and you realize, okay, the draft day's over, okay, now what? Then it's okay, back to building, growing, learning, and just continuing to get better. But yeah, like, I mean, it's junior is obviously a big step.
Yeah,
At 16 you're playing with men, and so you kind of gotta learn the ropes quick.
sure. So obviously you spent that time with Thorold, and then you moved to the Bandits, and like I mentioned earlier, won a championship. That has obviously got to be a whole different learning experience, and sort of, I guess, a follow-up question to what that taught you is what made that team so successful.
Yeah. Well, that was a big jump. The jump from minor hockey to junior in Thorold was a big jump, but heading out to Brooks was a whole nother world. That was a very, very tight-knit organization ran by Ryan Papuano, who's coaching the Wheeling Nailers right now in the ECHL. And he ran a very impressive organization. He like that. I thought I knew what structured hockey was before going there, and then we get there and it was like, holy smokes, this is so foreign to me. The speed, obviously, way faster, the maturity way higher. And it was kind of like my first taste of you earn your stripes, and if you're not performing, you're not playing. And moving away from home for the first time, it was a very interesting experience for me, very unique, and a lot of learning was happening that year.
What do you saw on that then? What do you remember most from that year or that sort of title run?
The culture, the
Yeah,
culture was insane. Like, I didn't like, we were such a tight knit group, and there were so many. I wouldn't say like rules, but more so just like morals in the locker room
quite so.
that uh yes, exactly, and they were passed down from the leaders and the older guys on the team, which were passed on by guys who were there 5 years prior, 10 years prior, and they were traditions that lived on for I don't know, 15, 20 years. And I know a guy that's playing there right now, and I caught up with him just over the past summer, and same thing. There's still stuff that's going on there. They're doing the same stuff. The leaders are still kind of passing the wisdom down, and that was super special.
Love that. That's unreal. And yeah, that's it. And obviously that gave you a real platform to sort of, not buy in, but like, understand that culture. And again, you then moved over to Niagara. So that was essentially going home, right?
Yeah. So I was coming off of my third knee surgery after my
Wow.
second year in Brooks there. Yeah, I had my first one when I was 14, I think, and then I had two in that same year there.
Jeez.
They weren't like major surgeries. It was just the meniscus, so like the cartilage in there, and just had bits and pieces that were torn up a little bit, and they had to remove it. Um, and yeah, I didn't really know what my future was gonna look like, and so I figured I'd kind of maybe just come back home and um, I guess play a year. And this was, like I said, so the guys that I was 16 with starting out in that league, ended up playing with three of them back in Niagara Falls that year. So we kind of colluded throughout the summer and connected and said, hey, let's go back to Niagara and win a championship. So we ended up winning a title there. So.
And from the blue line, a hell of a year for you. You said about me having the stats earlier, but I've got the stats here. 51 points in 45 games as a defenseman and player of the year at your hometown. That's got to have felt nice.
Yeah. It was a good year. It was a lot of fun. We had a hell of a supporting crew. So, it was just finding the right spots and getting there, and guys were getting me the puck, or reverse. I was getting guys pucks in good places. So, yeah.
How special? It's not very often people do it at home, is it? Like their hometown club. How special was that for you?
Yeah, that was great. I didn't really have many championships other than like tournaments that I won when I was a kid. My dad and family were able to be around, but to be able to do that back at home, and I had all my buddies were there, and they all came into the locker room after the game and stuff. It was quite a treat to be able to do that. So,
core memory.
Yeah,
love that. So that's juniors. Let's talk about a little bit of university hockey. And you spent multiple years at York University. That's a different kettle of fish, isn't it?
Yes. Again, like I said, the jump from minor hockey to junior, your boys playing against men, but then the jump from junior to college is like teenagers playing against men. Like it's like.
Sure.
You thought you were mature and fully developed by the end of junior, and then you get into the college level, and it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, guys are just bigger, faster, stronger.
Yeah.
Feels like it never ends.
So I know whenever I speak to guys who've played in new sports, they always have a lot of good things to say. How important? I feel like I've said this question over and over, but I like to go through the chapters. How important was this period? Let's start with obviously York, for your development on and off the ice, because it's not just about on the ice, is it? When you go to that sort of environment.
Yeah, when you get to school, you start to realize like, hey, like there's also more to life outside of hockey, and not that you're preparing to close the book on hockey, but it's kind of in the back of your mind where you're like, okay, well, this is also an opportunity to set myself up for a possible career. Now, playing junior hockey, the thing that's kind of slips your mind is, all right, what am I going to study? What am I going to do? Most of us finished up school or high school, 3 years prior to entering university. So we had 3 years of basically doing nothing, maybe some classes just to kind of get ahead, but there was no real rhyme or reason to what we were studying. But anyways, back to the point, like you get to university and you're a part of something bigger than just a hockey team. You represent a school, you represent a community, and there's other sports that are there, and then also just student life going on. And so there's a lot to kind of digest, but it's a very, very large maturing stage for sure.
How did you find managing that, like school and hockey? Because again, the level that you was playing at was a very good level, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I was always a pretty decent student, and my competitive nature just never really let me slack off in school, and so there were a lot of long nights, long days. My objective was to complete university in the natural time to do so, which was the 4 years, where a lot of guys would kind of extend that and play a fifth year, and I guess my undergraduate degree. And so my main focus was, hey, like, let's get this done in 4 years. Do whatever I need to do to make sure that happens. And there were 2 or 3 summers where I took summer courses, just to kind of ease up my load during the year, and I can kind of breathe a little bit with hockey on the weekends and in the afternoons. So
Love that. What memories do you have from playing for the hockey team then? Like again, you was there for, was it 3 years? 4?
I was there for 4 years.
Yeah.
Oh, I have tons of memories, tons of memories. You know, we similar to my experience in junior, like we came into a group of very good guys. Like our locker room in my first year there was just filled with seniors who just acted as like ideal role models. Um, and they really helped shape a culture in that dressing room. We had a very, very large freshman class the year that I came in. I think there was like 17 guys that came in. And so um, the good thing about that was, we had a little bit of a mix of seniors who were there to lead the way, but then we were able to build a large community just from our incoming class that could make it to the end and then be that core when we were finishing up. But like, I mean, I could go on for days about memories, and most of them actually kind of lived outside of the rink, where the guys that we lived with, the time that we spent after practice watching hockey, or just picking classes together and making sure that we can kind of get by and help each other out. And yeah, it was a blast.
It sounds like it really set you up in terms of your professional career, both on and off the ice.
It certainly did. It certainly did. If I could go back, I think I would probably try and leverage that a little bit more, and network within the community a little bit. But at the end of the day, I mean, no one really knows what they're doing when they're there. And so I think I'm very happy with the decisions I made and what I've done.
Well, I mean, yeah, you've not done bad, mate. We're going to
Yeah.
move on. So one interesting question that I always like to answer, well, interesting for me anyway. So it comes to the end of U Sports. It comes to the end of York. You then had a year in Prince Edward Island for your final year. Is that right?
Yeah.
What was behind the decision to sort of move at that point?
Yeah. So I can remember this one vividly, and so let me rewind a little bit. We were burdened with the COVID year, where we lost a year, and there was a couple guys on our team that had moved on, and they just went on to play pro right away and just kind of left their degrees behind. And there were opportunities to do that, and I figured if I did that, it would just be a battle to go back and finish my degree. And so coming to the end, I think our last season there, we were just shy of making playoffs, and we didn't make it in. And there was a moment there that felt like, all right, I don't know if I'm done with this yet, because some guys on our team were ready to wrap it up, and I'll be honest, like there was a point coming to the end there where I was ready to wrap it up too. And then I kind of started shopping around, and people were talking to me and advising me to maybe try and explore doing a master's degree. And they got through to me, and I looked around for MBA programs where I could get it done in a year. And Prince Edward Island was one of them. We had some connections that made some phone calls for me there, and I'm super happy I made that decision.
Love that. So again, that was an academic move rather than one to sort of put you on an extra platform for a professional career in hockey.
Well, yeah, it was like there was a part of me that realized that I wasn't done with hockey. and I did want to give it another year. But yes, it was certainly a professional move as well, where I figured where could I possibly lose by doing this right now? Eastern Canada, the AUS was a division that was, you know, highly sought after in Canadian university, and so once I found myself an opportunity to ship over there, it was like I gotta do it.
Love that.
Yeah.
So this leads to my interesting question. It might have been a bit of a random one that seemed like that, but when you come to the end of U Sports, what happens there? So obviously you go from Prince Edward's and you move to Holland. How does that overseas sort of opportunity come around? Do you have an agent that orchestrates that? Could you sort of talk to us about what happened at the end of college, university, sorry, and then sort of how that move came around to the Devils?
Yeah. It's it's pretty funny how it happens. You know, we played our final playoff game there on PEI, and get home, go to bed, wake up in the morning, and I got 3 or 4 messages from a couple of different agents. So they're on the ball. They're actively looking for guys who are finishing up, and you know, I obviously wasn't like the only guy that they reached out to, but there's tons of spots out there, and I took a phone call with the first guy that messaged me, and the rest was history. It was like, "Are you interested in going?" And I said, "Sure, yeah." Like I had an injury that year, and again another injury, but I said if you can make something work with me only playing 10 games this year, I'll be happy to explore it for sure. And then yeah, that was it. I thought it was going to be a long summer waiting for an opportunity, but I think it came in May.
Right.
So had a lot of time to kind of prepare for shipping overseas.
So that was the move that you made. So obviously you didn't stay in Canada. You made that overseas move and took that jump, which I totally rate. I love it when, you know, you guys come over to our league, especially, but, you know, any league I'm sure will have been appreciative to have you. So I'm not gonna murder this name. It's the Devils. How do I pronounce the first word?
Yeah, so I would pronounce it as Nijmegen,
Nightmare.
but the Dutch kind of have an H sound on the G, so it's like Nijmegen. I don't
Okay.
know if I hit that right, but yeah,
So
it's a good attempt at it.
yeah. So you had your first opportunity is Nijmegen. So sort of talk to us about that. Did your agent orchestrate that? Did you speak to the coach? And sort of how was that transition from Canada to Holland? Because I can imagine they're quite different.
Yeah, so my agent handled everything. He like early on, he's like, "Why don't you go ahead and send me a list of countries that you'd be interested in playing in, and I can kind of focus there." Um, I'll be honest, Holland wasn't even on my list. Not because I didn't want to, just because I didn't really think about it.
Yeah.
And then he sent me a message with the Dutch flag, and that was it. And I was like, dang, that'd be pretty cool. So yeah, he kind of facilitated everything. And once we got that going, then I started communicating with not the coach, but they had a player on the team
Yeah.
who was heavily involved with the operations there. And so we were back and forth, and yeah, like he just kind of gave me all the information that I needed to know, and it didn't really take much selling. It was the first offer that came across my table, and truthfully, I was grateful for any offer. Like I said, coming off of an injured season, and so it was basically it came in, and I said yes. So
Love that.
yeah,
How does the Dutch season work? So I can see by the stats, you had a great output. You played 20 games that year and you got 34 points again. So lots of offensive sort of contributions from that blue line. How is it a long season? How many games are there in the Dutch season? When does it run from?
Yeah, so we started up. Uh, we started up. I got there just early September, and the season ran through until the end of February.
Okay.
And we were, one game a week, sometimes two games a week,
Fair.
mostly on the weekends, which was nice. So we were training during the week. It's kind of similar to university hockey. Um, and yeah, a small break over Christmas, but then gear up for playoffs all through March.
Love that. So that's
Yeah.
that's quite a nice one. I can imagine one game a weekend's a lot nicer than the double headers.
It has its pros for sure, and definitely way more pros than cons.
Yeah.
Uh, it gave me an opportunity to be travel a little bit too, which
Yeah.
I'm extremely grateful for. We had our home games were Friday night,
Oh no.
and our first practice of the week was Tuesday night, I think, if I'm
Oh
not
nice.
mistaken. And so Friday night game, I could head away for 3-4 days and just kind of travel, and hopping on a plane sometimes is a lot cheaper than even getting on a train. So
Sure.
uh,
So,
yeah.
little side question before we get into how you did the season. What's your favourite city in Holland that you went to?
Oh, you know, this is kind of a shame, but I didn't really travel too much inside of
Uh,
Holland.
different,
Most of my
different
most of my
cities, yeah.
travels, yeah, it was outside of the country.
Yeah.
We popped around a little bit. I liked Den Haag down by the water there. That was a beautiful spot. Beaches were massive. Was able to get out there a little bit in the fall when the weather was still really good. And then obviously Nijmegen has a spot in my heart. It was not a place I knew about before I went there. But after living there, it was super beautiful, small, cute city.
Love that.
Yeah.
So on the ice then, you guys smashed it. You was there for a year and you capped it off for the championship, right? So I mean, was that from the experience that you'd taken from? I'm not saying it was obviously you individually, and I know you won't say that either, but you'll have obviously played a big role in the team. So what was that experience like in a different hockey culture?
Yeah, it was different. It was a lot different. Like Holland's not their main sport isn't hockey.
Yeah.
Similar to probably a lot of different European countries, but um, it was pretty impressive with like the core community. We had a handful of local guys who kind of grew up playing there, and then moved on North America, other places in Europe, and kind of came back and settled back in Nijmegen where they're from. And so we had a good group of locals there that really kind of led the charge, and they knew the league, and they helped shape the culture that was in the room and on the team there. And uh, I mean, yeah, like there was a solid group there that had a big part to play.
Did so this that season then did that sort of make you realise that you could build a career in playing hockey internationally?
It it made me realize that there's an opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
Um, but what it also made me realize is that there is like my first experience was such a great experience in such a
Yeah.
beautiful city, um, that I mean, I don't know if you've had guys on here that have mentioned maybe possibly some horror stories about their experiences over there, and
I
not
know.
there in specific, but just some places where they didn't really enjoy their
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Um, and so after such a great experience, what I realized was that there there is a world to continue playing, but for me, it's
About
I
choosing
want
the
I
sport.
want to look for, yeah, yeah.
That and And do you know what? I think that the move from there to where you are now is exactly following that, and I'm sure that there's a lot of AI fans who have been waiting for the AI chat. So we will move into
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about the move to Australia. So, sort of similar question. Obviously, you're now with the Sydney Ice Dogs. How did the move to Australia come together? Because again, from what I've heard, like from people I know who've moved to Australia, it's not a simple process, is it? So, was it something that was in the pipeline for a long time, and how did that come about?
Yeah. Well, coming off of the season in Holland, I had been in touch with the coach here, a guy that I lived with actually in Holland. He played here the year prior,
Okay.
the summer prior, Alex McDonald, and he kind of got me in touch with the coach there, and hopes were to come out right after that season. But Sydney they had some construction going on with the ice rink, and so they actually didn't compete that year.
Yeah.
Um, and so fast forward a year later, I just reached back out and said, "Hey, I'm still interested." And yeah, it was a pretty smooth process. It was a little back and forth. They had a lot of guys to talk to and figure some things out. But once the decisions were made, it was pretty straightforward. Just get on a flight and get over here. But it was a long journey over here.
Yeah. What was your conversation like with Chisholm?
So we had a preliminary phone call, and they just kind of wanted to get to know me a little bit, me as a person, me as a player. Like you can see, you can read stats all you want, and you can see video all you want, but
Yeah.
I mean, selfishly, I'm gonna put some of my best clips in my video, and
Of course
like
you are.
as anybody should. But sometimes it doesn't really do a player justice. It's pretty. I think that it still makes that decision challenging for a coaching staff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just kind of just getting to know each other. He was doing a little bit of a character test, um, and because ultimately, coaches are bringing guys over from across the country, across the world,
Yeah.
and they want to ensure that they're not bringing in somebody that might not be a fit for their organization. And so, yeah, it was really just kind of a down to earth conversation.
And that I really like that what you've just said, because again, if you're getting like a bad apple in or someone who's going to spoil that culture, it must be difficult, especially if, like you say, they're traveling all the way across the world. So I think that's totally fair.
Mhm.
Did you have much chat before the AI talk when you was in Holland? So you say that your friend was McDougall, right? Is that right? Sorry, McDonald.
McDonald, yeah.
Sorry about that. So yeah. So did you talk to him much about the AI whilst you was in Holland?
Yes, yes. He had not a single bad thing to say. It was, and then after he saw my my year in Holland with how much I enjoyed to travel and particularly to beach locations, he said, "Dude, you got to go to Australia." Uh, and so it didn't really take much selling. I mean, I haven't done a whole lot of research on this place, but I knew that I always wanted to visit here anyways, and
Yeah,
so why not kill two
just,
birds with one stone?
just seemed perfect. What
Yeah.
what what surprised you most since arriving in Australia?
Well, I mean, sim the simple one is driving on the wrong side of the road. I know
Yeah,
it's, I mean, it's the same side for you, um, but that was that was the first one,
yeah.
and it still is every single day. It's kind of tough to get behind the wheel sometimes, but
Close your eyes and hope
uh,
for the best, like that.
yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah.
Uh,
Um, but other than that, honestly, probably just like how healthy people are here. Like just
yeah,
people are just so fit. Um, I I reckon that there was probably 5 to 10,000 people out here this morning go out for a run. Some started before us, some started after us. Um, and that's just the way of life here. It's very, very inspiring and very impressive.
It's got to be so motivating being in that sort of environment. 5 to 10,000 people at 5:30 in the morning is crazy.
Yeah, it was outrageous. And now there's, I don't know if you can see, but there's probably like, I don't know, you might not be able to see it, but almost 50 people out there surfing right now, and they'll be out there all day. Those numbers will change. It's super cool.
Love that. On the ice, you started really positively, goal and assist in your first 2 games. How have you felt personally early on?
Felt pretty good. It's I like to kind of feel the league out a little bit and just get familiar with the team, and never really want to come in and you have teams that you played for in the past where you do things one way, and other teams do things another way. And so I think what's most important for me is just to come in and make sure that I'm buying into what this team commits to, and then I'll find a way to get creative around that. First 2 games are great. It's still like kind of on the tail end of summer here, so the rink is unbelievable. Ice is a little bit softer. It gets a little snowier than I'm used to, but we're getting used to it.
So, in terms of like the group, how was that first sort of? I imagine you've been here for a couple of weeks now. What was that first sort of meeting with the group? How are the boys been? Have they been accommodating? There's quite a lot of there's quite a few players in there from North America. I don't know how the rules work in Australia, but then they can like get citizenship, can't they? So that's got to be quite nice for you.
Yeah. The first day I met everybody, we were all at the gym just doing a media day, and everybody's super welcoming. I was in touch with a few of the guys even before I got here, just kind of going back and forth, filling me in on what to expect and what to bring, and yeah, super welcoming. And that's the other thing about Aussies, is like they're super friendly, friendly. So that coupled with a handful of Canadians, like you said, and have similar paths. One of them played youth sports. One of them kind of had the exact same educational journey as my brother, and so there's just different things that you can kind of connect on. And at the end of the day, everybody knows, like, there's 2 sides to this experience. One is being here for the hockey, of course, but then also being in such a beautiful place. Everybody's encouraging me to go here, go there, try this food, and that comes from both the Canadians who've been here for a couple of years and the locals.
To really make most of the experience,
Yeah.
Love that. So again, you've been around the group for quite some time. I'm gonna talk about that first game very shortly. But sort of looking forward for the remainder of the season, why do you think fans should be excited about the Ice Dogs?
Well, I hope they are. They missed out on a season last year, and so I hope that they haven't lost their love for the game. They're From what I've seen and what I've heard, like, this league just continues to get better and better, and guys are extremely interested in coming here. For, like I said, for to continue playing. For most of the European players, it's like you get to play over the summer. The North American summer or the European summer. Keep your training up in the off season. But yeah, like, there's a lot of good players here, and I think that there's been a large investment by each organization and in the league itself to make this an awesome experience, and what we're trying to do is just bring an awesome piece of entertainment to people who may have not been super exposed to hockey, and it's cool. It's cool hearing some of the people talk about, I've never seen this sport. I've never even heard of it, and people are hooked right away. The speed, the physicality. So I hope they they continue to enjoy, and we're gonna put on a show for them. So
Absolutely, and being part of that one experience, I can imagine a big part of that was the home opener. First game back of the season, AIHL TV. For those who don't know, and if you've not signed up to it yet, go sign up for it, because if you're in the UK, it's 15 quid for a month. Like that's less than a ticket here. Come on, what are you doing? There's loads, so much. But I personally got the subscription. First AI game was the Sydney derby, and obviously you guys had both been out for a year, and what a game it was. I think, without being disrespectful to the Ice Dogs, a fair few might have might have predicted that the Bears would win, because there was, I think previously the Bears maybe have got the best of them, but you guys came out with a big 4-2 win, didn't you? So how was that? I mean, I imagine the game had a bit of extra edge with both teams coming back after so long.
yeah, it was. I unfortunately, but fortunately, I haven't been around to experience that rivalry.
Yeah.
But you can tell just by in the dressing room and walking around the rink that we also practice. We practice on the same night on Tuesdays, and so you can kind of feel a little bit of that tension. And the game was fast. It was quick. There was a little bit of a territorial battle there, but yeah, it was a great first experience. Packed barn. I think they sold out. So hopefully we can get some more of that when we face them again.
Did the boys fill you in on the rivalry beforehand?
They didn't go too deep into it. I mean, there's some parts of that rivalry that are pretty self-explanatory, and then the rest of it was just like the rest of it was they didn't go too deep into it. It was just they tried to treat it like another game, but at the same time it's the Battle of Sydney. So
the atmosphere was there, right?
yeah.
Love that. And again, to get the win for the Dogs over the Bears it's important that at the start of the season, isn't it? It's sort of a statement of intent.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I mean, just to start off on the right foot, I think the big thing there was that it was traditionally, like you said, like there's been, the Bears may have had the upper edge, but both of us had the whole season off last year. And so it was kind of just getting out there, starting with a bang and sending a message early just to ensure that we're still here and we're not gonna fold too easy.
Love that. So before we go into sort of the season goals and ambitions and things like that, I've got some questions. So we put out on our Instagram page about getting some questions from sort of fans and people obviously involved with the Ice Dogs or following the Ice Dogs or yourself, obviously, Dags. So we've got a little quick fire round here if you're up for it.
Yep. Yeah, let's do it.
Love that. So we've got a couple about life in Australia first. I've sort of categorised them. So we'll do the Australia ones first. There's only a couple of them, but then there's the hockey ones, which I'm sure you'll like. The first one was beach or rink, which is I can imagine that's pretty tricky. So that's a nice beach behind you.
You can't ask me that. I gotta say beach. Like I love the rink. But I grew up in the rink. And I've always loved the beach. Unfortunately, just where I grew up, I never really had easy access to a beach. And so yeah, the beach is home for me. Hopefully it will be.
Next one, best food you've had so far in Sydney.
Best food. Oh, we were just down, my roommates and I, we were just down in the like in Chinatown, and we went to this place where you get like a big shareable noodle bowl. It was like a massive thing. I know it's probably not like some of the national food here, but other than that, like that was unbelievable. But first night here, had some kangaroo, had some emu,
Really?
and yeah, it was good.
Is that initiation? It
It was
was on the
a little
list.
bit. Yeah, it was like unsettling. I didn't really realize that was a thing that was, consumed here regularly, just sold in regular supermarkets. But um, yeah, no, it was actually like really good.
Love that. And then
Yeah.
the last one was in terms of life in Australia was have you fully embraced the Australian lifestyle yet? We want you here for a while.
It's only been a couple of weeks. I'm trying to fully embrace it. Try and spend a lot of my time down by the water and exploring the city and the nature. Uh, and so far I'm loving it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the future holds, but I think that there's a part of me that really really likes this place.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Right, let's do our hockey quick fire ones, and most of them are about the Ice Dogs in Australia, so I'm sure you'll like this one. This one isn't there. Who's your favourite roommate from Nam Troy's Ave?
Uh,
This is a bit of an inside one, isn't it?
yeah. Yeah. I come on, man. I can't answer that. We
For context, give everybody the context. Everyone will be like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah, so Nine Troyer was the place I lived at York University. We had four, five, no, six guys from our core like freshman group that all lived together since our second year. Um, and it was a blast.
Yeah,
Um, I I certainly there's no favorites there. There really wasn't a moment where we didn't all spend all of our time together as a group.
yeah.
Um, Whether it was watching hockey, gambling on hockey, uh, just back and forth from the rink of the gym. There's I'm not picking favorites here. Come on, guys.
One of your mates has stitched you up big time
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So, actual Ice Dogs one now. Which teammate has made you feel the most welcome?
Of all my teams in my career.
Ice Dogs. We'll go Ice Dogs.
Oh, 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 Pataki. Pataki was well, yeah, like he kind of approached me. Like I said, I was in touch with some guys, and it was Pataki who kind of got really, really led the charge on
Picking you up.
making sure that I was prepared to come out here before I even got here. But then there's some fellow Canadian guys, Thule and Strat, who I share some prior experiences with, and they've been really good with me too.
Love that. Tule's a hell of a guy. He was on the AI episode that we did last week, and what a
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Funniest guy on the Ice Dogs team.
Funniest guy, I'm gonna say Hosey. I don't know what it is about him. He's always cracking me up. I was texting him earlier. He's hilarious.
Does that sort of tie in as well in with best personality in the team?
Best personality, I'm gonna give that one to JV. He's like when I picture like Ozzy, like he just looks it, sounds it, walks it.
Hat with a
Yeah,
hat with a corkscrews on and everything.
yeah, yeah,
Well, that.
exactly.
Who this is one. Who's the most skilled player you've seen so far in the league? So it doesn't have to be an Ice Dogs player, or it could be.
Most skilled player. Well, we kind of drew the short straw. Most teams have played 4 games. We've
Yeah,
only played 2.
yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, so I've only seen 2 of the teams, and even names aren't
Yeah, Pretty tough.
aren't working for me. There's a tall lefty on the Bears, not overly fast, but really good with carrying the puck through the neutral zone, and good awareness with the puck. He's got some good hands. I don't know his name. Sorry, but
and that's the only compliments the Ice Dogs are giving Sydney this year.
yeah.
Next one. Who is? Oh, this is a good one. Who's one Ice Dogs player fans should keep an eye on this year?
Keep an eye on our goaltending. Keep an eye on our goaltending. I think we got a good duo in the cage, and they are both active. Like they're out of the net playing pucks,
Nice.
and I think they're going to be a big part of this team this year.
Nice.
Yeah.
The last one is sort of a mix of both. It says early verdicts is similar as well. Early verdicts. How are you rating life in Australia out of 10?
10.
10. Confident.
I don't even need to think about it. 10.
Love that. Well, that bodes well for the Aussies. I'm sure they're rubbing their hands together, thinking he's staying. We've got to have him for years.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go into that sort of this season and sort of the closing segments then. So, looking at this season, what's the goals for the Ice Dogs as a group? Obviously, it's their season back, but does that change anything?
No. I think most of the guys kind of have the objective of making the playoffs. I don't know too much of the history of the team, but from what I understand, there's been a struggle to kind of even crack playoffs, and so step number one is to get there, and from there, figure it out as we go. I think there's a lot to work on and a lot to build, and it's a long season, so we got some time to kind of round things out, but ultimately it's just make it to that playoff weekend, and then anybody's got a shot there.
What does a positive season for you personally look like in your eyes?
It's probably not the answer that you're looking for, but just building relationships, building bonds with the people here, ensuring that I'm exceeding expectations from a performance perspective, but like the thing that I feel like, I mean, maybe a lot of people do talk about it, but you meet a lot of cool people from all over the world, whether you're here or in Europe, and building those relationships and connecting with people and networking is super important to me. Just have lifelong friends across the world, and that's my main objective this year.
Love that. In terms of, so Dags is lining up. What should Ice Dogs fans expect from you this season? So a little bit different of a question, but on the ice, maybe again after this episode, people might think, "Oh, I'm going to tune in for the AI." What should everybody expect from Dags?
I hope that they can expect a fast game. I want to try and provide as much offense as possible, keep the game entertaining in the offensive zone, and I guess hopefully I'm not much of a goal scorer. I think like more of my points in the past have come from being a setup guy, and so hopefully just finding guys and they can put the puck in the net.
Nothing wrong with that. Point's a point, mate.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So, in terms of those fans that I've just touched on, then I asked this question last week, and there was quite a lot of people that responded quite well to this question. So I figured over the summer, if I'm talking to more players from different teams, I'd sort of like your input as well. For fans tuning into the AIHL this for the first time, why should they keep an eye on the Ice Dogs, or why should they follow the Ice Dogs?
Well, for one, the teams here, and particularly the Ice Dogs, like they put together a super entertaining experience. So at the game, it's all entertainment. If you follow our socials, our crew here that's running our socials does a very, very good job at staying active, putting out engaging content. And I think it's just like kind of like that whole, it kind of completes that circle of staying engaged and building a community. And there's why the Ice Dogs. I think we got a story to tell. And it seems like there's a lot of fire under the guys who've been here in the past. And that's what we're working to do.
Love that. That's a good answer. That's a good answer, mate. That's one of the better answers I've had, so well done.
Okay. Cool.
Finally then, do you have a message for the Ice Dogs fans for the upcoming year?
Yeah, I mean, so far, first 2 games, you guys have brought the noise. We appreciate that. We hear you. And I hope that, you guys can continue to bring that noise and help us fire through games. But don't sleep on the dogs.
Love that. That's the clip right there. Don't sleep on the dogs.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say a massive thank you for you coming on. Like, there's been a lot of people since we did our AI episode that have messaged us and said, "Are you going to get some more players on? Let's do some longer interviews and things like that." And to be honest with you, I really, really, really enjoyed this one, especially because your story is sort of similar to a lot of ours, really, where you're obviously new to the league as we are, but it's great to have that insight from you as well. So, Dags, I really, really appreciate you joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Rossy, thanks for having me. I hope that the lighting back there wasn't too bad for the video, but I appreciate you, and I appreciate you being okay with me taking this call down by the beach too.
I mean, I think I'd appreciate being there a little bit more than here right now, but absolutely fine. But yeah, I mean, and again, it gives that a little insight into the AI, doesn't it? So no, that's great. I think obviously for me and for everyone listening at home, obviously to get to know you, but also shining a little bit of light on the league, about it having loads of talent, loads of personality. It just shows that obviously it's definitely a league that is worth keeping an eye on.
100%.
So I just want to say before we sign off, obviously best luck to you and the Ice Dogs for the rest of the season. Obviously, first guest, so I'll definitely be keeping tabs on you, keeping in touch, obviously, and how you guys get on. But to everybody watching as well, as always, a massive thank you for sort of supporting and watching the video. This is obviously the latest in our Slapshot special series, and over the summer we're going to be looking to get some more players on. But make sure to share the video, show Dag some love, and again, just share it with your hockey mates, I guess. And obviously we'll catch you in the next one. And yeah, just to sign off again, Dags, massive thank you, mate.
There we go. Thanks a lot, Rossy.
Slapshot Syndicate, pure ambition. 3 mics, 1 mission. Azza and Rossy, yeah, that's the crew. Dropping knowledge, what you gonna do?